Hello. I'm Eric Pincus. This is Bobby Marks. We're with both with Sports Business Classroom. Of course, you know Bobby Marks from ESPN, myself from Bleacher Report, and other things. And together, we're here to sort of just talk a little bit, maybe a little NBA in the beginning, just sort of ramble and sort of give some thoughts on maybe what we saw last night at crypto. I still call it Staples casually, but I guess this is a formal setting, so we'll call it crypto. And we're going to talk about the SBC Sports Business Classroom All-Star Experience, which is a new exciting thing that we've got planned for All-Star in LA, my backyard. Bobby's he's a Florida guy, so he's not a transplant, originally a New Jersey, Brooklyn Nets guy. But anyway, we are going to dig in and give a little bit about what we have in mind and sort of uh, I guess explain what we have in store because it's really exciting, and then also maybe brainstorm some of the ideas because we are still formulating it and we're customizing it, and we're going to customize it really to you all as you sign up. And so we are very open to feedback to what you're interested in because this can be whatever it is. We have a lot planned, but we also have a lot of open spaces for us to adapt to what you all want to do. So before we do, let's just, Bobby, what were your impressions last night at the Cup game, Spurs Lakers?
Yeah, it's funny. So we did TV on Wednesday afternoon for NBA Today, and one of the things we talked about was, would the Spurs athleticism kind of exploit the Lakers a little bit here? And that was kind of a concern a little bit when you had the three guards out there, and really Fox, Harper, and Castle really weren't on the court together. They were kind of, their minutes varied as far as who was out there, but that was a concern. I think you kind of saw that a lot last night, to the fact where the Lakers basically went centerless for most of, I guess most of at least most the whole fourth quarter and everything like that. And yeah, I thought if Marcus Smart didn't get it going, this would have probably been more than a 13-point loss and everything like that. So I listen, I think if you're a Spurs fan, you're happy where you are without Victor. I think they're 9-3 in their 12 games. He might be back for the Cup game on for the semis on Saturday here. If you're the Lakers, I mean, this is kind of who you are, right? I mean, it's kind of you got to get. I thought, it's like, Austin hasn't had the greatest of a couple games. I thought he got extremely frustrated last night. You can tell. But yeah, I think the athleticism probably was a bit alarming, I would say.
Yeah, yeah. From the Spurs point of view, man, I mean, the three guards, a lot of folks, former SBCers, have argued with me. They don't need Fox, when Fox was out. And then he came back, and you see, like, man, just waves of guards. You just said, like, they didn't need to go three guards, but they just always had a couple of those guys available on the court. So you can just go Harper, Castle, Fox, and bring them in. And it's just nonstop athletic attack. And boy, that's like the Lakers' kryptonite. I think Lakers have gotten better defensively from a point of view of they got destroyed by Rudy Gobert in the playoffs. Like they fixed that by getting DeAndre Ayton, so they're not going to get killed by Rudy Gobert. But they haven't done anything outside of Marcus Smart, to really address that. And I don't think he can guard three guys or two guys or
Yeah.
make up for. I don't know that Austin, LeBron, and Luka can defend in the playoffs. I think that's kind of what I saw last night. I mean, it's just one game. Do you overreact to one game, or do you?
No, I don't. I mean, I don't. I mean, I think it's like, Chicago got jumped out to a 6-1 start, and I think they're like 3-13 in their last 16. So as you know, it kind of there's ebbs and flows of the season. Golden State last year was a 500 team before they made the Butler trade, and then they took off in the second half of the year here. But it is worth watching. I think, I would be a little concerned, and I think you saw some of it last year, the inability of LeBron getting to the free throw line too. Um, I mean, I think he got to the line for the first time with 5 minutes left in the third quarter. So, when you're just a jump shooting team and there's not really a paint presence there, except for maybe Luca, that it is somewhat of a little bit of a concern.
Yeah, well, they're also not a three-point shooting team. They are a shooting
No.
team, but they shoot twos, right? So, like, if they're hitting their shots, which they do really well. I mean, Lakers have a good offense, but it's generated mostly with 2 points at a time.
Yeah.
And if they're not getting to the line, and Austin, did not have his best game, but he also carried them for a good month. So,
Yeah.
I'm curious to see if there's an improvement they can make to fix that, or if just fundamentally, like in the playoffs, which I think might be true, that trio, while incredible offensively, I do think there's a ceiling on how far they can get in the playoffs
Yeah.
defensively. That's just my take.
Yeah.
But the Spurs, though, I mean, thinking about like the future, like the
Hmm.
big picture future, not just this year, but like maybe the next 3 or 4 years, I'm trying to see like who's better situated, if healthy, than OKC and the Spurs.
Well, it's funny. I was teasing with our producers because we do the trade machine on TV, and then our writers, I mean, you do it also. We do like, fake trades and analysis. And I said, hey, listen, if any of us put a Stefan Castle and Dylan Harper in one of these trades and stuff, like zap me, unless it's something really, unless it's something pretty good. It's funny what San Antonio, and then we're going to jump into into this program and stuff, is that they remind me a little bit of kind of where Houston was last year, where we didn't really know what they are until you kind of get to the playoffs. And I think that's the same thing because even though Victor's been on this roster, this is year three. They've never sniffed the play, not even the play-in. Um, and we'll see. They get in a playoff setting, and if they can stay in the top six, they won't have to worry about the play-in, and then figure out kind of what they need. Maybe they don't need anything in the offseason.
Right. Yeah, no, I don't think I don't think this is their year. I don't think this is the Spurs championship year. It certainly looks like it's probably the Thunder, and assuming health. But yeah, they're a problem. I think I don't see anyone else, maybe in the league, at the level of uh, potential dominance. And
Yeah.
potential is a key word. We have no idea what's going to happen. We have an idea, but we don't really know until it happens. But between those two teams, it's like. So then there's like we'll get into the program. I'll just say one last thing is like, I get a lot of folks like the Spurs can go get Giannis or the Thunder can go get Giannis. I'm like, yeah, but I don't know that either of those teams need a 30-plus-year-old guy making all that money at the
Yeah.
cost of breaking it apart.
I think people have to condition themselves to like when you hear names and basically how it actually fits with your roster and what the timeline of your roster is. And when you're taking on a 31-year-old who's making $70 million, for example, $70 million for a year. And what does that mean when you got to pay
Right.
Victor and some of the other players and stuff? So it'll be interesting, as we we'll get the trade deadline in the next couple months here, and as there's a Q&A in this if you want to ask questions about anything NBA related or as this program goes along, just throw your questions in there, and we'll get to all that.
Absolutely. It's a good transition to actually getting into our content because our job as instructors or running this program, building out this program, both the one in Las Vegas in July and this one at All Star in February, is to help quote fans of the game, people who love the game, which I think we all do. If you're going into this industry, you got to love the game, otherwise you're probably not cut out for it. But better understand like what you're actually seeing because on the court from a coaching, scouting, basketball operations perspective, it's not necessarily what you see even on TV from the in-game callers. Great personalities, great people calling games, but it's a different approach. And then certainly pundits, fans, you have to look at it a little differently. And then of course Bobby and I, with our salary cap experience, we try to expand the minds for those who want to know the nerdy stuff, which I appreciate. So I'll echo what Bobby said. The Q&A is the best question. Please don't hit the chat, as great as the chat is. And I saw some names. We are going to mostly ignore it just because of practicality. So I'll look at the Q&A and just shout out to Brady and to Mari. And if I'm saying your names or pronouncing them incorrectly, apologies. But they just want to say a quick hey. So I'll give you guys a quick shout out. What is it, a super chat? I don't think we have super chats on Zoom. But yeah, Bobby, we are doing this program in All-Star or at All-Star in Los Angeles. Why don't you just give me just or our audience just a little taste of
Yeah,
what you expect from the program?
yeah, I'm excited about it. So we've done sports business classroom. Eric certainly has done it longer than I have in Las Vegas, which is kind of like our super program here. We've been discussing about doing something during All-Star weekend, All-Star week. We discussed it a week ago. A year ago. We weren't able to kind of get it off the ground in San Francisco here. So the All-Star experience is the week of the All-Star break. It will be the Tuesday to Friday. And it's a little bit different than what people have experienced in Las Vegas, or maybe you haven't experienced, but you kind of know about the program. The program is going to be smaller. The Vegas, we have, and the numbers in Vegas are great. I mean, we have, I think we've 140 people there. But we're putting together a smaller program where you really have the one-on-one attention here. It's really, it's not an immersive, it's an intensive as far as kind of how it is. And it's detailed around All-Star Week. Um, I'm downtown where I'm staying, and I was over at where we're going to have it, and the setting is perfect. I mean, literally, like if you had a good arm, you could probably hit crypto.com arena for where we're going to be. We're going to go Tuesday to Friday. In Las Vegas, you have to pick a major. Here you don't, because there's no deep dives at night. But we are heavily involved as far as a lot of programming, as far as what we're going to be doing. Yes, if you love the salary cap, we're still going to be doing salary cap. It's going to be a perfect because we're coming off the trade deadline the week prior. So we will go through that. We will go through a lot of things that happened. We will go through trade deadline, roster building, all that stuff. There will be a component of broadcast media writing component also. I think even if that is not your specialty, or it's something that is not your major going forward and stuff, I do think there is especially being in Los Angeles and having a lot of resources at our disposal and putting people in front of the group here. We're walking distance right across from the NBA Today studios here. So based on what the interest level is, and I'm not guaranteeing this, maybe there's an afternoon we walk over, with a smaller group, and you be able to sit through a 1 hour session here. So that's something to keep an eye on here. We have certainly how the we live in a world right now where it's not just ESPN and TNT doing, in the past TNT, we have Amazon and NBC, and we have all these different broadcast partners here. And the inferent like the innovation technology part of it, we have Amazon in our backyard. We have ESPN in our backyard. So getting people who are behind the scenes and who have done some of the great graphics or some of the great analytics to get in front and kind of explaining how everything is. Um, Scouting video analytics is also an important part. That's something that we used in Las Vegas. That's going to be a big part here also. We do have two teams that week that are going to be in town when you're looking at Dallas, and I believe Dallas and I think Oklahoma City is here that week. I want to say, or maybe Dallas and I think Dallas and San Antonio again, maybe. Um,
I have to look it up, but it's
yeah, I
something
have
like
two of
that.
the teams there. So, as I said, like I think people are saying, well, who's speaking? Well, it's a work in progress as far as we're going to have, but having two teams to play the Lakers that week, because remember, Intuit is shut down because of the All-Star, the ability to kind of pull from different teams, the ability to possibly go to a shoot around. That's why this type of experience is a lot different. The ability to possibly put together a career fair where you're going to be in front of not just the Lakers or people from the Clippers, but all different jobs that are in this LA market or even national here. So there's a lot of different programming here, but as I said, it is different than Las Vegas. where you're picking a major. We're doing programming during the day, which we're still doing here. We do deep dives at night. That's something that is not going to happen in Los Angeles because there's going to be a lot of things at night to do, whether you're going to the rookie game, whether you're going to NBA All-Star crossover, what maybe you're you're going to a Laker game and stuff like that. That's your night is going to be open for a lot of different experience and everything like that. And then, Eric's, I know I took Eric's baby away, which is the big trade deadline piece that was part of Las Vegas. We're going to kind of change that a little bit here because just the besides having the goal to have a smaller group, um, as I said, we're looking to do things differently than what Las Vegas. We're going to do an expansion draft, which I think will be something neat as far as putting teams together. Expansion draft, the ability to present. Put yourself in public speaking type environment here. But I'm excited here. As I said, we're continually building out ideas and programming. A lot of the same faces that we're instructors that we had in Las Vegas will probably likely be back and everything. But as I said, it is more of an intimate environment compared. Listen, Vegas is great. But as I said, we had 100, 140 people, and there's a lot to do there for them as far as going to the games and things at night and everything like that.
Yeah, we don't know yet how many numbers we're going to get, but we know specifically in Vegas our capacity because the red room, and there's only so many people, any bodies that we can fit. So we know roughly going in exactly what we're going to do, and we've done it since 2016, so we have an idea. Here, it's really open to customization based on who and how many we get. We don't anticipate it reaching 140. Certainly, we'll take 140 and we'll make it work. But realistically, it'll be a smaller program with more one-on-one potential interaction with instructors in the immersive. And I really think we do a great job in Vegas with the immersive with one-on-one. If you want to make time to get to know Bobby, you want to take time to get to know me, we're doing office hours. We make ourselves available. And this is theoretically that multiplied just by availability and what we expect to be a smaller class size. And we're going to definitely focus on scouting and analytics and all of the things that we do. And Bobby and I teach salary caps. So if that's your interest, you're going to get some one-on-one time with us. I think some of the focus will be maybe a little bit more on impact team building, like bigger name team building than maybe when we do Vegas, it's more about understanding how to identify players. So that might be fringe players, that might be college players, and you're not always looking for your Lucas or your Wembys. But I think we'll focus a little bit more on that. As Bobby said, there's going to be media and broadcast opportunities as well. Potential to visit Bobby's set over at ESPN, which is just across the street. Amazon is really close in Culver City. We have discussed the possibility of field trips, but we're not going to commit to anything yet until we get a little closer. I've been over to the Amazon set, and it's pretty amazing.
Pretty wild. Yeah, it's pretty neat.
Yeah, it's all this LED. I mean, it's like a cube with one wall missing, and it's all LEDs. It's pretty incredible. And then for those who are agents and player representation, we added that major to SBC Vegas this last year. It was really a blast. We actually started it unofficially 2 years ago. I've been talking to agents because a lot of agents live in LA. And so they're like, yeah, I mean, because in Vegas, the challenge is availability, timing, all that stuff. Here, leading up to the week, for those who are who live in LA, they're like, yeah, whatever you need, I'll come by. We could do a session. We could meet with a group. So we do have intent to do an athlete. Again, there won't be a major, but an athlete representation focus for those who are interested. And so that's really going to depend on those who sign up and the interest. Last year, we had in the range of 25 or so in that major. So we'll definitely gear towards that. As far as taking away my baby, which is the trade deadline, the mock trade deadline, it doesn't make sense to do another mock trade deadline like a week or two after the actual trade deadline. It's like the trade deadline is what, the 5th? It doesn't make sense because it's in the calendar. It doesn't. We would never do that. So we've been sort of ruminating on what would be the answer, and so Bobby came up with the idea of doing an expansion draft, and I've put a lot of thought into what that might look like. And this is very much a rough draft of what we're going to do. Bobby and I are going to continue to bounce around ideas. The thought would be is that you'll be able to, in groups, choose your city. And we might need to do an early draft so that not everyone chooses like Las Vegas and Seattle, which are the most popular theoretical destinations of where the NBA might expand. So if we had 5, 6, 10 teams expanding, that wouldn't be realistic either. So we're going to need to do them in, the actual drafts will be in parallel realities. So we'll have a couple go at a time and go from there. Teams, so you're going to choose your team, your city, your team name, your logo, your branding, all of that. And we're going to require you to submit a realignment map. I think you need to tell us, how is that going to realign? Where is are you going to be in the East? Are you going to be in the West? Are you, a city, if you're in, Tennessee, Kentucky or something like that, you're going to need to be in the East. So who goes West? And that's tricky in and of itself with teams like the Grizzlies and the Pelicans and the Timberwolves and all that. So I'm excited to figure that out and see how you all come up with that. And then there's also a mechanism that Bobby and I are working through in terms of exposing players. You have 30 teams. Who chooses what players are exposed? And Bobby and I might do it, or maybe we'll break everyone early in the program into 30 teams and let you make that decision. And then when the time comes, you might be able to trade with those teams, or at least have some sort of negotiation with those teams. Because sometimes that happens in an expansion draft. We'll trade you this so you don't take our player, or something along those lines. So we're still sort of tooling around with it. We've got some ideas, and I'm going to put it in my private Discord with my SBC alumni. I'm going to want your thoughts. And if you have ideas, hit me up. And Bobby and I are when it comes to this sort of thing, I think we're both not very ego driven. It's more like, bring us your great ideas. Help us incorporate it. Help us make it better. We're not like, oh, do it this way because we say. It's more like, hey, share your ideas. Help us make this program great. So I'm excited about it. Something new. And so, yeah, I love the mock trade deadline. I love what we do in Vegas. But I'm excited to see what the expansion draft is going to look like. So to go over a few details, just logistically, it's February 9th through 13th. So it's really leading up to All-Star Weekend. So it's throughout the week. I believe that starts on a Tuesday, goes through Friday. So it's a little bit shorter than what we do in Las Vegas. And it's your responsibility to get to LA, and we do not provide hotel accommodations. That is something that we do in Las Vegas. But then also that reflects in the price. So there's a price difference for what we're asking here versus Las Vegas. Las Vegas is more expensive, largely in part because we are putting you up for a week. And then I tell our students not to, when they do presentations, not just to read the slides, but I'm going to read the bullet points here. The content is that we intend to cover basketball operation skills, team building strategy, league salary cap, broadcast innovation and media, modern day athlete representation, scouting video analytics, the global basketball ecosystem, innovation and technology in basketball, and then creating your path. We're definitely going to focus with Professor Jeff Fellenzer on like, how do you stand out? How do you build out a resume? What do you need to have on social media? All of those sort of things. There's much crossover to what we do in Vegas, but this is, and you see that in the content. A lot of these are crossover topics, but it is a very different program, and it's not going to be anything identical or anything 100%. You're going to get a brand new experience than what you're getting in Las Vegas. So let's go on, Doc, to the next slide, if you would. Success stories, I'll just run through just a few. One of the things that Bobby and I and sports business classroom all the way up to ownership, what they pride themselves in, and really what the intent of what we're trying to do is to help people get to their next destination. You have a passion for getting into this line of work. It doesn't have to be with an NBA team. We have had success. Buddy Scott with the Celtics, Makar Gavorkian with the Nets. We have a couple of incredible students, Preston Clowes with the Pacers. I could go on. And I'm leaving people out, and forgive me for Hirsch Gupta also with the Pacers. And then people have worked for the G League or for the NBA itself. I know Ron Gutterman, when you see at NBA tweeting, that is Ron. That's pretty cool. People working for UCLA, ESPN, Clutch Sports, Turner Sports, The Athletic, WNBA, other sports leagues that aren't even NBA or basketball. We people who have joined football clubs or NFL. All these opportunities in sports exist. Our job is sort of to open your eyes to what they might be, make sure that you understand at least what it's going to take, how you need to present yourself, how you build out your network, all of those good things. They will carry over into what we do in LA at All Star. We're still carrying that same message, that same goal of helping you get to whatever your goal might be. So let's go to the next slide, Doc. Oh, these are just a few names. Lindsey Harding is with Lakers. She took the program. One of the cool things, Rod Strickland, and I don't know if you have to be of a certain age to have seen Rod Strickland play. He was an incredible point guard. And a lot of like Malik, former players who were NBA players, will take subsets of the program or audit. Like Lindsey Harding didn't take everything. She came and went. Whereas Rod was like, nope, I want to be with everybody else. And he just took it like every student and killed it. He's over at Long Island University, head coach. Makar, buddy, Amber Nichols, she ran their G League team for a long time, now has moved up to the big club. Aram, Anad, and I'm probably butchering a name or two. Nick Lagios ran the Capitanis, recently left for a different club in Mexico City. Alex Lewin, Henry Hirsch, Orlando Johnson, former player. Max Yazdian just got something with the Pistons. And then Jeff was in 2016, in our very first class, built out a website called Early Bird Rights, and just showed his knowledge and turned that into a job at Clutch Sports. He's been there a long time. So next slide, Doc. And I'll just mention that we have early bird pricing. So the price just goes up starting in 26. So if this is something you're serious about, please reach out to Bobby. Please reach out to me. Reach out to others who have taken the program. And obviously All-Star is our first version, but those who have done Vegas, and make that decision. It's in our best interest. Yeah, do it in January and pay a higher price. Of course, that's good for business for us. But for you, why wouldn't you sign up when it's cheaper? So it's just something that we do this similarly with Vegas. There's a certain deadline to get a discount, early bird registration. We just want to make sure we lock in as many numbers as we can. That helps us get the planning going. So next slide, Doc. And so the pricing, someone asked about the pricing. So what you get at the intensive experience, and people ask me this all the time for Vegas, because we have different levels. Getting in the door and just being there is really the most important thing. We want you there. Once you're there, of course, we would love it to be at a higher level, and we offer more at the higher levels. But if budget is an issue, just being there, you get most of what you need to succeed. And our staff doesn't know who is at what tier. They are treating every student the same, because the only people who know are the people who are doing registration and that sort of thing. Bobby has no idea. I don't want to trouble Bobby. We don't want to trouble Bobby with those kind of details of making, majors and tiers and all this stuff. So you get everything that you get at the baseline level. That's access to all 5 days of Sports Business Classroom All-Star. That's morning snacks and lunch each day. Exclusive access to the crossover events. So we're going to take you over to the convention center and experience whatever's going on over there. I don't know if you've been to crossover before, but it's very cool. You see, it's the NBA produces that, and it's a combination of technology and it just maybe they have like some basketball stuff you can do, touch a ball, shoot around on a half court. To I don't know, they had a NBA Rubik's Cube. Yeah, if you can last year, you can get it done within a minute, you get a free something. I don't know. I can get it done in about a minute and a half, so I didn't get a free something. Access to Bobby's course, which is really a really interesting aspect. Bobby's CBA Mastery video on demand course costs $1,000. I think it's $9.99 officially. So really, if you were going to do that course, then you're getting a discount anyway. So that is how you learn the CBA. It's available to everyone at all levels. When we do Vegas, that is a higher level add-on. So you have to climb up a level. So we're giving that at the base level. We're also going to have a career fair. I'm going to want Bobby to chime in when I go through, after I finish this, to kind of give me a sense of what you have in mind for the career fair. But that's something we don't have the opportunity to do in Vegas. So I'm really excited to hear about that. You'll get a certificate of completion. And I will, humble brag to say that people in the NBA know Sports Business Classroom with teams, agents all across the board. They know who we are and what we do. We're well respected for doing good work. And a big part of that, I think, is that Bobby, myself, and all of our staff, we really get to know who the students are, because we can't take money and then promote you, because we don't know who you are. We have to get to know who you are, and putting that time it's a positive for you. You get to learn from us. We get to know who you are, and we build a relationship. And I have people that I communicate with every day from SBCs of many, many years ago, and I have good friends and good relationships that I built up. And so when you get a certificate, it's not just like, oh, it's just, okay, cool. That people in the NBA actually know who we are and what we do, and that we vet our students. We're not just promoting them to earn a dollar or whatever, all that. We actually care about what we're doing, which plenty of people in this industry do, but I feel like we put a lot of love into it. You also get some gear, SBC gear, and then access to a private SBC reception. The next level up, we'll take some folks over to the Rising Stars game, which I think is pretty cool. That's what used to be the freshman sophomore game. And then there's going to be a special dinner with just additional access to our staff and a chance to get some nice food and conversation. And then we're going to have a watch party for All-Star Saturday night. So that's not the game itself. That's the dunk contest, the three-point shootout, skill contest, all that kind of stuff. So good fun. And then at the highest tier, there is 2 hours of tutoring. So that would be something that we would pair up on and I would help you with. And then a benefit of getting some mentoring and some career advice to the tune of 5 hours, which is a good amount of time, with Tommy Shepard, former GM of the Washington Wizards. If anybody who's been to SBC, you at some point have probably come across Tommy, because he's been a friend of the program for a very long time. And he's just a tremendous person. We can argue Bradley Beal, no trade clauses all you want, and say, and by all means, when you have your 5-hour coaching session with Tommy, ask him about that, and he'll give you some perspective on how hard it is. And you're not, faulting anybody, but just the job of being a GM is a difficult job, because you are not necessarily your own. I don't know what the right word is. You're not necessarily the one making the decisions, even though people and the fans and the media will credit you with every success and failure, but more the failures than the successes. The credit will be for the success that the team has, because the players are so good. They're winning in spite of you. That's kind of what a GM gets, unless you're Sam Presti, who's killing it. So credit to Sam. But you certainly get piled on for the bad decisions, and not all those decisions are even your own decisions. So let's go on, Doc, to the next slide. I think we're at Q&A. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
There's a couple questions in here, and we're going to get them answered. Some people who are taking the agent exam are asking if there's a discount involved. I'm sure
Yes.
we can ask
Yeah.
with that.
Yeah, I've already brought that up to our staff, and there is going to be a discount. I don't know specifically what it is at this time. So if that is your situation, and you don't need CBA mastery because you have the course through NBPA, you just need to reach out. And so in the application, there's a place for notes. just put that in the notes. Or, well, and not or, but do that. But then also reach out to me, reach out to Bobby, and we'll make sure that we flag it because I put it into the ear of the decision makers on this. And it's definitely something that we are going to take care of. And I forget what the exact answer was. I don't know if I knew the exact answer. But yeah, so that is definitely something that we'll honor. But Bobby, give me a sense of what the career fair is going to look like.
Well, I think that's probably one of the more exciting things. When we started to brainstorm about this, and you're right, we don't. This is not something we do in Las Vegas. I just felt that Los Angeles is kind of like, whether it be from Amazon or Netflix or Google or Twitter or Clippers, Lakers, USC, UCLA, all these different colleges and all these different opportunities here. Why not bring them to sports business classroom? And it's, it's what it sounds like, it's what it is. It's a career fair where representatives from whether it be professional teams or professional organizations or in the media world will be here. And I think that's the beauty of it when, as I said, when we have smaller numbers, right? Where it's not people lined up down the hallway waiting to meet with somebody from the Lakers or from ESPN, for example, here. So that is going to happen. We're still working on what day that's going to be, but that's like a 3 hour chunk of time, or based on how long we need here. I think that's something that's a priority, because I always said that the beauty of Las Vegas is the opportunity to network, right? The opportunity to network. Here, there are no games going on the third floor above what we're doing, or downstairs. But we do have the opportunity with everyone here for All-Star Week here to put those type of people in front of you. And I think it starts with the career fair.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see. My we both have college age children, or I guess young adults, and so there's some level of like college fairs that at least I know I've been to. I don't know if you've had the chance to do that, Bobby, but it's really incredible information gathering, because when you're applying for a job with a team, and yes, there's a certain amount of I'll work anywhere that some folks might have. Like I'm just happy to work in any situation. That said, it is important to find what is the right fit for you. It's like the Austin Reeves, pushing Detroit away from drafting him so that he could sign a two-way with the Lakers. Or I can give a long list. There's always the Byron Scott taking the job. Was it with the Cavs? Right, he got the job with the Cavs. Right when LeBron left. And if he
Yeah.
waited 1 year.
Yeah.
Doc Buss wanted to hire him, but there wasn't an opening. And then the next year, there was an opening, but Byron was with the Braunless Cats. The point is, sometimes it's really important to make the right choice for you, and it's not always the first opportunity and the first yes. And so, going through a career fair, you can get a bit of a sense of the cultures, the personalities of the people that you're talking to. I want to go back just for a minute. To add two points and Doc, can you go back to the intensive all-star slide? There you go. Thank you. Yep, one more there. Other direction. There it is. So there's two things. One, I want to point out that there is an option for those in terms of financing that you can go through a firm. If that's a third-party vendor that processes these sort of things, so we have no say in approval. But basically, they've been a good partner with us this last few summers in Las Vegas for those who need that. So that is an option. So just inquire. You can fill it out in the application, and then it's a question of whether, I don't know how the rates work and all that kind of stuff. That's something for you to work out with the firm. But that is a potential path for those who need that. And then I have some clarification on the agent question. And it's not just the agent question, because there are other folks who may have bought your course as well. So if you have previously purchased the course, or you're in the certification program and you have access to the course, you are going to get bumped up a level. So you sign up for the intensive, you indicate that you have access to that course. We'll do our vetting process to verify that you are in our course to make sure that it's accurate. And once we do, then you are jumping up to the all-star experience. So if you notice, if you just do the math, that's greater than $1,000 value. So you're getting access to the Rising Stars game, you're getting access to the dinner, you're getting access to the All-Star Saturday night party. And while those all sound great, which they are, a big part of why you want those dinners or access to the All-Star Night watch party is that you're getting additional networking time with our staff. And then we're also going to bring in a person or two in the field, in the industry in some form to watch with us. So because we have people in town and if we don't know who yet, or the people that we've talked to are all yeses right now. But it's 2 months away. So we'll wait and see who we get. We wouldn't announce that. That would be something that we'll know and it'll be a nice surprise. So just to clarify on that, just to restate it, if you have access from purchasing directly Bobby's CBA Mastery course, or if you have access either this year or in a previous year, I guess it would just be last year, to be inside the MBA course just over the last couple of years, because that's when Bobby made the course on the new CBA. Then you get jumped up from intensive to all-star, but you have to put it in the notes. So you would sign up for intensive, and then in the notes you would say you have access to Bobby's course, and that's all you really need to do. We'll do it internally. We'll verify, and then say, okay, here you go, and we'll bump you up to that extra level. So, all right, let's go back to the Q&A slide and answer some more questions.
And it could be NBA related too, if you have any questions too.
So Bobby and I have been doing this now a couple of years, so we've gotten really, I think, good at when Bobby's talking, I'm knocking out Q&As, and when I'm talking, Bobby's knocking out Q&As. So Brady is asking, and Bobby, I'll let you answer this live. How would you recommend we maximize our time during this event, and how some previous students have become successful from being a part of this program? So kind of two questions there.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're coming here, and the beauty of when we do Vegas is that we do an icebreaker the first night there, and that really kind of just opens up some people who maybe are a little bit more quiet and more reserved and everything like that. I think, listen, everyone here is paying to come. How do you maximize it here is that you have an opportunity to meet the best of the best in professional sports, from different teams and from different agencies. It's almost like you're on a job interview, and it's for a whole week. And I think that's the way you maximize it.
I'll add to it that everyone has if you have a scale, like the introvert extrovert scale, and not everyone is extroverted. And that's fine. That's fine. I mean, Bobby, don't save them for. Let's answer these questions live at this point.
Oh yeah. Oh, sorry. You hear me typing?
No, I see it. It says Bobby. I didn't answer. No, but
I forgot we're not on the agent stuff.
Yeah, the agent stuff. We're just trying to. We have an hour and a half, and we're desperate to not. I mean, it'll go on for 3 hours if we really let it. Okay, so what I was saying is that there's an element of shyness / big personalities, but you are who you are, and so you just have to find a way to interface with others. And so for some, you're going to be the life of the party. But one of the benefits of what we really do is try to be available for those who maybe need to meet one-on-one in a more quiet setting, just a conversation. In Vegas, we have the Ruby Tower when we're at the Virgin, which is where we've been the last 3 or 4 years, 3 years, 4 years. And I go there at night and for office hours and just be available. And some people want to schmooze and are loud, and some people are not and just want to be quiet and have a one-on-one conversation. But really, in all aspects of the MBA world, you have to communicate with others. So if maybe you're more into analytics and numbers, but maybe aren't the life of the party, that's fine. But you do need to interact not just with our staff, but our point of view is that you are the leaders of the NBA world, infrastructure, environment. In the future, you are the next generation of stars, right? Of whatever that might be, GMs to somebody in PR to media agent, all of these things. And so get to know each other. I mean, bond with each other, treat each other with respect, treat each other with openness and kindness, involve each other. When we're competing, do so with respect. So, and then as there was the second part of this question was how some students have been successful from being a part of the program. A lot of it is a lot of what we just said. And everybody, I don't know about everybody, but most people want immediate gratification, and that's fine. It would be easier if you get everything that you want right now, but that is not always the case. And so we have some students who, some of them got jobs immediately. I had one student who I was tutoring, signed up for SBC and never actually made it to SBC because he got a job with the Thunder and he's still with the Thunder. That's great. And we're here for that. But some people, it takes a little bit longer, and that patience is usually rewarded. We have some people who have had 2-3 years. They've gotten, second or third in an interview and didn't get the job, but then got a better job after that. So a lot of it is being professional, finding a way to represent yourself in public so that people understand who you are and what you do, coming out of your shell as best possible based on who you are, but really just finding a way to show how you add value, how you bring something interesting to the table, because we all think differently. And that is something that Bobby and I embrace with our staff, with our students, is like, please share your voice. We say it every year as we're preparing, like to our staff, like, tell us where we're missing something. Tell us where it can be done better. And we're just in our styles, I guess our leadership styles, we want that feedback. Unfortunately, in the NBA, that's not always the case, and that's just a reality. But that said, in this environment, getting a job, I really think that's an important one. So, Bobby, why don't you answer? That was from Bradley Crowell. If we're missing, why don't you give us what you were going to type for Gregory Spicer?
Gregory Spicer.
I'll just read the question. I'll read the question.
Ahead,
how does a team like the Thunder's dominance affect how other GMs move? Does it lead to more aggressiveness from other contenders? This is the best we've seen since Prime Warriors.
I mean, in Prime Warriors, we saw kind of a lot of the Western Conference teams kind of in a holding pattern, except for the Rockets. They were the one teams that was extremely aggressive. I will say this, though, and Oklahoma City is tremendous and everything, but having lived and been in a front office when the Bulls of Derrick Rose were dominant back then, and they were the 1 seed going in, and then all of a sudden Rose tears, gets injured and is out, and Philly is the 8 seed that wins. As constructed, and if they're healthy, yeah, Oklahoma City is going to be extremely tough out. But I think you have to take the approach, whether it be at the deadline or how you add your roster, where you're probably not wise to mortgage your future in a short window here. Because this Oklahoma City team is going to be here for a long time. I mean, that's the reality here based on what they have in draft equity still coming. I think their players are only going to get better, which is kind of a scary thing here. So I do think you do have that in the back of your mind. And as I said, we in the 2014 to 2019 stretch, it was really the Rockets, with Daryl Morey, who was there, was the one we give him credit for, the one executive that was really aggressive trying to take down Golden State.
Rockets went, right? They went hard.
Yeah.
Hard. Yeah. I think that teams are going for it, but there might be fewer teams that are like buyers in the West. There might be more buyers in the East, because just as dominant as OKC is, like, who's necessarily dominant in the East? I mean, the Knicks. But it's open. It's open. So I'm going to answer or pull up this one. Adrian, I'll just go Adrian. Pardon me on the last name. I'll answer this one. What do we think about the Pacers' decision to waive Mac McClung, who played decently, somewhat fit in that guard rotation, temporarily signed Monty Morris, and then to waive him and sign JRE, Jeremiah Robinson Earl, to a standard deal, and by the way, waive JRE, and now they just signed Garrison Matthews. So the Pacers are bad. without Halliburton. They're probably worse than they thought, but they've also had more injuries than they expected. So I think it's just an opportunity for them to just explore a lot of different pieces. I would hope that Mac, who is a very talented offensive player, gets another crack at the NBA level. I expect he will. He's on my list. I just put it every couple of weeks. I update on Bleacher Report top 20 free agents, and I think I have Mac 3 or 4, something like that. Probably 4, I think, something like that. But yeah, they're not very good, and they're just exploring players. So I've had a few of these questions, Bobby, that we can knock off. Like, can we name or can you hint at some of the other speakers?
Yeah, I think it would be unfair to kind of, list as far as from the instructor standpoint. I think there's a lot of the same people that were in Vegas from an instructor. So myself and Eric and Keith Smith, who we had, who did a lot of this salary cap work and as a Spotrac,
Yossi.
and Yossi Goslin, who's was terrific, and Seth Partnoy, who led salary the scouting video analytics part of it, and we're working on the media part. Whether Howard Beck certainly was involved and was one of our lead instructors in the media part. So I think we're still going through the process of kind of putting outside of our internal team, who from what teams, who from what agencies, the actual curriculum, kind of nailing it down. Jeff Felnzer, who's a professor at USC and is terrific, and is whether it be putting a resume together or interviewing, skills or writing, which are key components to this here. The plan is we'll probably have another one of these in a month from now and sometime in early January, and hopefully we'll have all that kind of buttoned up.
Yeah, I'm going to answer Luca's question, which he just asked that exact same thing. But an anonymous attendee asks for the career fair and for other guest appearances, will it be mainly teams, organizations based in the LA area, or will there also be teams from other markets and organizations with an East Coast presence as well?
I would say it would be this market. Yeah, it will be the mostly the Los Angeles market.
Yeah, I would say that I'm sure if someone is there, we know who will be in LA because they live in LA, so it's going to be easier from that point of view logistically. I'm sure there's going to be a presence of some sort out of market that happens to be there early enough to participate. But we just don't want to commit to something that we haven't lined up yet when people don't know their schedules yet. So, okay, so let's go to, I'll take this one. Chris is saying NBA expansion to Las Vegas seems inevitable. Would it be better if it was a true expansion team and not a relocation of existing franchise? I know the new owners of the Mavs are tied to Las Vegas. The Mavs owners are tied to Las Vegas. The word and the truth and the reality and the conclusion, we can't say. It sounds like they are trying to get a new arena, get gambling legalized in Dallas, all of these kind of things, and that the NBA is not open to relocating Dallas, the Mavericks, to Las Vegas. Now that's today, and things change, and who knew that Luka was going to be traded a year ago, right? So Bobby, we can't tell the future. And the NBA is exciting because crazy stuff happens that we can't possibly anticipate. But mostly things happen that we can. And so we're not going to really focus on relocation for our expansion draft. We're not at this point, we're going in assuming that all 30 teams are staying put. And I don't know which teams will relocate, and we can certainly get into those kind of discussions in Las Vegas and argue and debate that sort of thing. But for our purposes, we're going to assume that there is no relocation, that Dallas is staying put in Dallas, and then we're going to open up, we'll do some sort of draft or something for cities. So whoever gets lucky to get that first pick, if they want Vegas or maybe they don't, then they'll make that decision. Let's see.
Got a bunch of Clipper questions here.
Yeah, so let's see here. So I'm just gonna let you attack it first, and I can certainly throw in my chime in.
So we've got Jack, and also there is Peter has Clipper questions, so we can probably just tie both them into together.
I'll read them and then you answer them. So Clippers fan here. What a time to be a Clips fan. Any suggestion on what the Clippers could do to shake up the roster for the better? looks like getting rid of Chris Paul was the solution. Haha. That's from Peter. And then uh, then Jack is saying, kind of at a cross section of salary cap and roster creation, how would you two hypothetically approach the situation like the one the Clippers are in? They seem close to the limit of financial flexibility with this team and have very few prospects to acquire with those young players out of the draft on rookie contracts. So, Bobby, why don't you start and I'll wrap it up.
Well, yeah, I think you'd love to get a couple of those Spurs guards that we saw last night first. I don't think they're out there, Eric. I think the Clippers are interesting. First, there's going to be some type of resolution here with the Chris Paul situation. December 15th is the first day that most players that signed free agents that signed contracts this offseason can be traded. He's one of those here. I do think eventually there'll probably be a resolution here. Does that fix them from being down three at Houston right now? No. Um, their pick situation is not great, as everyone knows. They basically have no control over the first and the next four, I think up until 2031, right? Going out, based on the Paul George trade, feels like the trade that keeps on giving, and also the Harden trade, as far as the two things that are owed to Philadelphia here. There is the faction of me that says, don't worry about what you've given up already. Maybe you have to take two steps back and build up your draft ledger that you don't have. And whether if that is James Harden or Kawhi Leonard, then maybe that's the way you go. It'd be hard pressed for me regarding Ivica Zubac, who's on a really good contract. I think he's like 18th among all centers and is under contract for another 2 years after here. Then there's the other faction of part of me, like the good devil, bad devil on my shoulders here, what says, oh, all right, you're already in it. Sometimes, maybe we just go out and try to parlay some of our um, expiring contracts, team option guys, and basically punt away cap flexibility in 2026, where they potentially could have some. So what does that mean? John Collins, Brooke Lopez, Bogdanovic, guys like that, as far as packaging to go out. And I don't know if you can get more athleticism, or maybe you can get some shooting somewhere down the road here. So they are not easy decisions as far as where they are. I did not think this team was going to be 6-17, Eric,
Hmm.
based off losing in that Denver series, which was a hard fought series. I thought they got better in the offseason with some. I know that guys were older. The Beal was a low cost, even though he's out for the year, but in Brook and then Chris, based off what we saw in San Antonio and John Collins and the Norman Powell trade has certainly backfired on them. I mean, let's just call it what it is. So it has not, all their moves have basically not worked. And that hurts because when you are limited as far as just in free agency, and I know you made the trade, you got to hit on those guys. Like that's the reality of it. You got to hit on those guys, and I know they've had some injuries and stuff like that. But as I said, there's basically two different paths in the road to go down as far as what the Clippers potentially could do here.
Well, I'll just add that first of all, Bradley also asked about the Clippers, so I don't want to leave him out of
Yeah, we got a
that.
lot of
And
Clippers fans here.
yeah, uh, he's saying, how do we feel about Clipper season and OKC potentially getting a top three pick and becoming more like OKC? Credit to them, props to them. What they're doing is amazing. And yes, like they could easily get a number one pick or top five pick. But that, like the Clippers, that's done. So you can't change that. There's nothing you can do about it. And Bradley wants to be clear that he is not a Clipper fan, just to like Bobby to clarify that.
No, sorry.
And but so I wrote something for Bleacher the other day where it was the Timberwolves are struggling at guard. Like they've one of the things they want to do is add a guard. They have limited resources. They have basically no picks. Dillingham hasn't been what they had hoped yet, and he certainly could be. So the fake trade, the theoretical trade that I came up with was Nas to the Clippers along with Dillingham with Harden out to Timberwolves, and the Nets were involved, and there were apron and issues to resolve. So there was a third team to make it work. And you say, oh, well, why would the Wolves move Nas? But the reality is with these aprons, and they're projecting to be a second apron team next year, teams have to make difficult decisions. And if they're not moving off of Gobert because they gave up a ton of money, well, picks to get him, and there's not really a market to move him, and there could be, but there doesn't project to be a market to move him at equal value of what they sent, or even reasonable value. And if they say they're definitely not getting rid of Ant, and they're not getting rid of Randall, who's been better than Nas, even though some may love Randall, some may not. And Jaden McDaniels is a huge part of what they're doing. You run into an issue where they have to get out of some of that money. And then I'll take it a step further. So let's say that they do this trade. You're like, well, they got Nas as either center. I'm saying, yeah, let him play center. Like, this team isn't going to be great. Let them start to rebuild, and then send Zubats over to Indiana. Bring back Benedict Mathurin. Bring back Jarris Walker as at least a young guy you can look at. He hasn't been great, but has some potential. And just start to get not like just draft picks, because I don't think that's where the Clippers are going to go, but get young guys who are in that 22 to 26, 25 range, and start to just make the fans excited again. And Bobby, Bradley does have a question that's part of this, is what are the times of day for the program? What do you anticipate? When are we going to start in the morning, and when are we going to be done throughout each day?
Yeah, I mean, similar to how we did it in Las Vegas, we'll have office hours with myself, which will be in the morning, early mornings, I think probably like 7:30-ish, around there, estimated times. And then we'll kick off the program somewhere around 8:30, 9 o'clock. And then we'll go all day till roughly around 5 o'clock, because as I said, a lot of the events will begin right around the time the program ends here. I do think, and something that we're still trying to flush out and figure out, is that, listen, Los Angeles, this session is a lot different than Las Vegas, where it's in the summer, and this is in February here. And if I'm talking to college students here, yes, there is a part of you who say, wait a minute, I can't do this because I'm in class all day here. We are trying to work through some things here where maybe there's a type of package you could buy based on sessions alone. Don't quote me on that. That's something that's just we're talking about it internally here. But it will go, as I said, we'll have office hours in the morning, and then we'll go all day. We'll have a speaker at lunch, like we've done in Las Vegas. That will not be myself or Eric, but somebody from the league or a team or an agent. And then we'll go into early evening, and then that kind of leads into one of the events.
I just want to remind you that we put in the chat, Bobby put his contact information. I put my contact information. That's phone number and email. Do me a favor, don't call us unless we schedule something just based on our schedules. But text and email, we're both pretty generous with our time in terms of getting back to people. Obviously, if we're in sessions or Bobby's on ESPN, he's not going to get off air to answer your text or whatever. But he'll hit you back and he'll answer your questions. So we're going to limit it to the last 4 questions, and because we do need to. My dog was asking me for a walk at some point here. So I'll answer this one. This is from Anonymous. Is it possible to hear from players and their perspective when it comes to agent representation? So in Vegas, we brought in Austin Reeves agents, and they brought in Austin Reeves. So Austin gave really insightful information on what his decision process was. He was like Landry Shamet's roommate, and he was just going to go with Landry's people, but then he met with these people and that people, but then he hooked up with the agents that he had, Aaron Riley, Reg Berry, and he just bonded with them. They didn't talk hoops, they didn't talk basketball, they just talked life and really bonded, and that was something that meant a lot to him, that they weren't just, business, they were people, and he was building a relationship. So, Bobby and I aren't going to overpromise. We always try to overdeliver. So when it comes to bringing in agents, we're going to see what we can do in terms of players. What's great about All-Star Week is that people are here, but then there's some of them are actively, still playing. We know there's still games through, I think, Thursday. But later in the week and as we go, we'll definitely do our best to bring in a player and get their input. Uh, well, we've got one agent question, which I'll answer towards the end. We've got another question regarding, okay, Bobby, you can answer this. What are your thoughts about this for Felix? Would you recommend this course for someone based outside of the USA? And is there much representation or success stories within the industry of non-USA residents?
Yeah, I mean, listen, we have our group from Australia that's here for that comes over in the summer. So I would say definitely, I think there's opportunity, and I think even if it's not opportunity within within the states, I think that can lead. That's one of the things that we're looking to kind of branch as far as building out, an international base as far as from a programming standpoint, just because there is a lot of talk of whether it be expansion in the NBA in Europe or this new Euro League or maybe even Australia here. So yeah, I think even if you're not based in the States, I do think this program has a lot of value to you.
Yeah, every year we have, let's see, I want to say in the neighborhood of 25, 30 people that are international. We've had people from Singapore, from Hong Kong, from Russia, from obviously Australia. Deakin University is a great partner, and they bring over a cohort. England, uh, I mean, obviously Canada. We have a great group of Canadian students, some from Mexico, not still technically a territory, Puerto Rico, that's technically USA. Um, but yeah, no, it is something that whether it's to work overseas as international scouts or whatever, or come and work locally, we have some people with NBA teams uh, that are from Australia, that are from Italy, that are from. I mean, there's a long range of people from all over the world. I think one of the great things about the NBA is how it's grown internationally. Another question that the one this is a basketball one. So we'll because we're getting close to wrapping up. This is from Dion. So Bobby, I'll summarize
Yeah.
here. He wants to know, can the Lakers stay under the second apron and get a third star that complements the future with Luca? I'll let you interpret whether the second star is Austin or LeBron. And then the other question was, oh, and then related to the Lakers, like they now have a new owner who has a
Yeah.
history with the Dodgers of spend,
Sure.
spend, spend.
Yeah.
Um, is that, I mean, I'm going to paraphrase just for time. Like, is that a path that works for the Lakers?
Well, I'll go to the second question and kind of work our way back. Having been in an organization that had Mikhail Prokhorov in 2010, and was a multi-billionaire and one of the wealthiest men in the world, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that you have an owner that basically has bought a roster with the Dodgers here. I think just based on the rules of the NBA are so much different than MLB. It's night and day here. I do think having an owner that has is wealthy and has a lot of resources does impact a lot of other things, whether it be the infrastructure of the scouting staff or the front office, or maybe ways that you travel or where you stay, or different elements with that are not on the court in itself. So I do think that's how it impacts that. I would say as far as where the Lakers are, the Lakers are under first apron team. They're under the first apron right now. Looking towards the future, I think it depends on the second apron. Do I see them exceeding the second apron? I don't right now, just based on where they are financially, where they potentially could have cap space this offseason and certainly in 2027. And do we think Austin Reeves is that second star? And do you really need three stars? Like that's the three-star system is something a little bit outdated, I would say, as far as having three max guys. Maybe it worked in 2010 with Miami, and we tried to do it in Brooklyn, and as far as some of the hype, and it doesn't really work that way. And it's different than what Oklahoma City has been able to do here. I think building a roster of stars that kind of gets you in trouble and everything like that. But I do think regarding the second apron, there are ways for you to go in, but you just have to have the get out of jail free card to get back out. That's the biggest thing. And you saw that this summer where we had Phoenix used a wave and stretch on Beal. We saw Minnesota got out of it. The Boston, of course, got out of it here. Teams can go, you can go in for a year. Cleveland's in it right now. Well, if Cleveland loses in the second round this year, are they going to want to be in it again? That
I
just,
don't think they're going to want to be in it,
yeah,
period. Even unless they
yeah,
win a title, maybe, but
sure.
I think they're going to get
Yeah.
out.
That's the that's where teams are with that. So Lakers, you never say never, and Eric certainly knows them really well as far as how to go out and build that roster and everything like that. But just to be able to say we have 50 million in cap space, and we're going to go after a guy in 2027, it's like we don't really see stars really hitting the market as much as we once did.
Yeah, they project to be a team under the cap next year, going, after probably re-signing Austin and signing a third player or a third or fourth that are high level players, or maybe trading for them. But I don't know. I also wrote for Bleacher Report a theoretical of like, should they trade for Giannis? Well, that's obviously going to depend on what Giannis wants and what Milwaukee wants. And is Austin Reeves, you would assume, would be the cornerstone piece of that. So then it would be two stars, Luka and Giannis. So then again, I don't know that there would be a third star, and I don't have LeBron staying with the team past this year. That's just my interpretation, but we'll have to wait and see. Getting down to the last couple of questions, Dion says that he agrees with us and thanks us. So if not traded, I feel Austin is the second star. So he thinks that Austin is the second star. So we'll wait and see on that. As far as there's two questions here, so we're gonna I'll do this first question, and then we'll do one last basketball question, and then we'll wrap it up. So Ryan, and this is more of an agent-based question. Ryan is asking, what are the exceptions for becoming an NBA agent and possibly not attaining a bachelor's degree because he's in the process at Xavier? Is it Xavier or yeah, Xavier, not Xavier. And I want to experience as fast as I can, get experience, and might jeopardize getting a bachelor's. So, Bobby and I work closely with the MBPA, and we do a lot of they've offloaded their education for the exam to us through Sports Business Classroom to prep people for the exam. We're doing webinars, and we're helping folks. So if you have not applied yet, you're well past the deadline. So you will need to apply next year and take the test next January. So when I say next January, I mean 27. 26 is when the next test is. So it's the next. But again, we don't really have a say in their policy, but from my understanding, they put in a baseline that they want you to have at least a bachelor's degree unless you can show that you have work and negotiating experience. And so I think what it shows is, have you worked with an agency? Have you worked with players? Do you have life experience to show that you've done this, that, and the other thing? But they are generally communicative with prospective folks like yourself, Ryan. So reach out to me personally, and I can at least get you in touch with somebody with the PA who can at least give you that answer concretely, so you know exactly what to do. So that's one of the advantages of what we do through this program, is that we have a very strong relationship with the MBPA. We have a strong relationship with the NBA. We have a strong relationship with many teams. Bobby has an incredible relationship with ESPN, and you start going through all the different layers. And we have so many friends because Bobby's a relatively friendly guy. I'm a friendly guy. We've made contacts through a couple of decades of doing this. I think almost 3 decades. I think, Bobby, I don't know what year you came in, but I came in LeBron's year. So what was this?
95, you're 30. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is I'm a decade behind in terms of practicing experience, but we've made a lot of contacts, and so we can be a conduit for you as a student. And if you talk to former SBC students, current SBC students who we can stay in contact with, I know they'll vouch for us in terms of actually we're not just talking the talk, so to speak. Like there are people. We're actively lobbying when the team says, hey, we're looking for somebody who does analytics. We're referring people, someone who does coaching, scouting, video, all that. We're actively, or cap or whatever. And then, Bobby, to wrap it up, this is from Chris. We got one last one, and then we can do our goodbye here. So this is from Chris Hampton. Should the Miami Heat go after Ja? He's had these off-court troubles. Maybe they can get him at a cheaper price. What's your thought on that?
Well, I mean, he really hasn't have the off-court stuff has kind of subsided. I think the biggest thing with Ja is the ability to stay healthy. His game has changed dramatically as far as a guy that used to attack the basket and get to the rim is not there. He's basically turned into a jump shooter right now. I don't know about Miami. I think, it's interesting. One of their former assistants, Noah LaRoche, is in Miami right now. He still has 2 years left after this year on his contract. I don't know if there's a sense of urgency. I think it's going to be interesting because I think he's going to be back. I think he might be back for their next game, Eric, here. And with Zach Edey going down, what is that now? Changes the dynamics a little bit of that roster here. So I'm interested to see where Ja is when he comes back. Because they've been good without him. They've been like
Yeah.
7-2 in their last nine.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Trey thing where Trey in Atlanta, like, yeah, they're not like killing it, but they're pretty dang good without him.
Yeah.
And now you start to think maybe going in a direction. Also, Miami, like they're playing a style of ball where they're not running pick and rolls. They're running a whole different offense. Does Ja fit in that? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know.
I also is he like a heat culture guy? Does he seem like a heat culture guy?
I don't know.
I
I
don't
don't.
know. Like that'd be a tough decision. I don't. I would suggest, in my opinion, he's not a heat culture guy,
Yeah.
but he may have a very different opinion.
Yeah.
And that's we can only project what we think of what these teams might do. And from our experience, I'd say we have a pretty good track record of predicting. But that said, I don't know. So here, Doc, go on to the next slide if you don't mind. Okay, so we have our final slide. Thank you for watching. You need to go, if you're interested, go to Sports Business Classroom, www.sportsbusinessclassroom.com. And we have information there and registration for Las Vegas and, well, sorry, for All-Star. And follow us on social media. You have X/Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, all that stuff. The main thing is that we are available to you, and Bobby and I put our stuff. If you just scroll up at about 6:40 or so p.m., and we'll leave this open for a minute or two after we close off. Just scroll up, take down our contact information. If you want to reach out to us, please reach out to us. You can ask us a basketball question, a cap question, or a logistical question about the program, and we're happy to give you our time and sort of clarify and try to help. We're really passionate about what we do. We want to help get to know you. So the more we communicate, that's like literally what the point is here. I'll also say that if you have this link, you're here. I believe within I don't know the timing, at least within 24, maybe 48 hours, the link should take you to a replay of this video. I think it's relatively quick, but I'll give our staff some time to get that together. So I think Zahid, and if I'm pronouncing that correctly, probably not. Um, yeah, Zahid, you're actually, all you have to do is just come to the link that got you here. This is after this is over. Come back tomorrow morning, log into the same link, and it'll be a replay. If it's not, give it another day, but then jot down our information, jot down my information, and reach out to me and say, hey, I'm having trouble accessing the content, and then I'll reach out to our staff and make sure that you're taken care of. So we gotcha. Just let me see if there's anything else. Um, oh, and you're welcome. And I think let's see here. Yeah, there are real Clipper fans. I don't want to crap on the Clippers. Like
Hmm.
transplants in LA who, like, if you're a Boston Celtic fan, you come to LA, you live here, you're definitely not going to become a Laker fan. You want to go to hoops, you're going to go to Clipper games, right? And then there are the folks who are like, I'm not gonna just do what everyone else does. And so those are Clipper fans. If you're in LA, it's a Laker town. Clippers are pretty well aware of the dynamic, but there's a big enough audience for them. So um, I think we've hit everything. So Bobby, any last thoughts? Any last comments?
That's it. I put all my contact information in there. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions about the program. You can text or email me.
And for Jack Farnham, I feel for you who says being a Clipper fan was sure the worst decision of my life. You know, there
Jack,
these things sometimes.
Let me lay this out for you here. I am a New York Jets fan. So if you think being a Clipper fan was the worst, at least you have got playoffs to kind of hang your hat on the last 10 years here. Okay?
I mean, to be fair, like, hey, the Kings have made the playoffs once in my daughter's lifetime, and I guess your son's lifetime, your younger son, uh, or even maybe your older son, and she's in college. So yeah, it's tough, and you inherit some of these things. I grew up watching Magic, and I was a kid and listened to my dad yell at the TV at the Celtics, and so, but when Buddy Scott had the opportunity, we fought for him and made sure that the Celtics got to know him, and then I'm actually actively rooting for the Celtics to win so Buddy Scott gets a ring. That's very hard for someone who grew up in LA, but our job is to kind of knock the fan brain out of you. I don't want to take away that passion, but we want to make sure that if you're going to do this professionally, that you are not thinking as a fan, but thinking as somebody objectively trying to be great at what you do. So thank you everybody for coming. Please just reach out to us, email, text, go to the program, go to the website rather at www.sportsbusinessclassroom.com, look for All-Star and go ahead and sign up. And we're excited to have you. We're excited to get to know you. So thank you for attending, and we look forward to seeing you in Los Angeles at All-Star.